500 Muslims without being searched, without them searching anyone on the plane, and fly around the world 5 times rather than go through these TSA pat-downs and everything that we're going on now, because
you're right.
Muslims didn't cause this. We caused this by letting the government instill fear into the American public.
That's right, John.
The guy that flew the airplane into the IRS building, what was he? Was he a Christian? Should we watch all the Christians? Was Tim McVeigh a Mormon? Should we now watch all the Mormons? Where is the line in the sand with that? Where does the stupidity stop?
And, John, it also brings up the argument, too, where there's a will, there's a way. And I got news for you. Are they doing body cavity searches here? I haven't heard of anybody. All you got to do is shove enough explosives up your ass, and, that's the way it is.
Just wait, because it's going to happen one day.
Well, see, but that's my point, Andrew. That's my point. And that's my point, too, Brian, is how far do you go? And how effective is that pat-down going to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but think about it now. If they have a German Shepherd that's trained, you're not going to get on that airplane if you've got C4 up your butt.
No, and that's different. That's different.
That's why I'm trying to introduce some ideas that make sense.
That's great.
To illustrate the point that we can do this without having to go this far.
Well, go ahead, John, or AC, or Griff. Griff, go ahead, man. I know you've been trying to bust in.
Just a minute ago, John said, I forgot what he said. Are we stupid? Are we stupid?
All right.
There is an agenda going on here.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not stupid. They're not stupid.
I agree.
This is not silliness. They have an agenda. And all of the logic and reason and ideas that you might have are for naught, because there is an agenda going on. They will not listen to anything because of their agenda. It's not stupidity. It's an agenda. It'll be one thing after another, and it'll creep. Don't you realize what Obama's doing to this country? He's disassembling the country piece by piece. His approval rating is tonight it was down to 39%. That's not by.
If I'm not saying that their agenda is stupid, their agenda is ignorant. What's stupid is the American people are being led by a nose ring like a bull into the slaughter, and they're not doing anything about it. That's what's stupid.
That's the way people.
Over in France at airports, they would need to stick both their hands down the Frenchman's pants, because from what I've seen over the summer with all the French rioting going on over there, they would need to use both hands to fill their set.
Well, Frenchmen are good in the streets. That's what French people do best, make Renault cars and riot. Nothing good ever came out of France that I know of. Joe, can you think of anything that ever came out of France that was good?
Smash sandwiches, Griff. Smash sandwiches.
There's an agenda going on here, and you must realize that. And all of the ideas and all of the suggestions are for naught, because it's an agenda. They're deliberately doing this, and they're going to face it into another thing and another and another and another until they and maybe bring other issues in, like North Korea. These things don't happen by accident. These things are planned out. Joe, I told you earlier today. But by the way, did you get my email I sent to you, Joe, about an hour ago, 2 hours ago?
No.
No, you didn't.
You keep getting blocked or something. I get about half your emails.
Yeah, I know. We come under massive attack here all the time for speaking out. It had to do with the government saying the scanning machines pose no health hazard to people.
Right,
now,
right.
The same government said the shrimp and the fish in the Gulf of Mexico are good to eat. The water is perfectly safe. They said airplanes brought down the World Trade Center. They said Lee Oswald killed Kennedy. On and on and on and on. They every time they open their mouth, they lie.
That's right. That's right.
Just one lie after another. And one of these days, the people are going to stop acknowledging and taking that. It's
you think so?
Yes, there'll be a handful. In history, it's always the same. There's a handful of people that rise up.
Right.
And if they win, they're heroes. If they lose, you hang them and call them traitors.
What was that, Andrew? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, when this incident with North and South Korea happened today,
yes,
I looked at it and I said, you know what? If I don't hear anything about this tomorrow or the day after, it's probably serious. But if I hear about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the rest of the week, this is probably a minor incident that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
That's how bad it's got to really drive Griff's point home.
Yeah. No, I agree. The focus here really needs to be on the home front right now, and anything else to me is kind of diversionary, and they'll do anything to get the focus off of the problem. Much like the Gulf of Mexico, you don't hear much talk coming out of the Gulf of Mexico anymore, but I guarantee you that it's still a major problem down there, and will be for years and years to come. Much like 9/11, what isn't really spoken about much more, but I'll tell you what, those people suffering from mesothelioma and respiratory illnesses certainly have it at the forefront of their mind. And we're looking at that same type of situation in the Gulf, and that's what they do. It's diversionary. They have a way of trying to divert the public's attention from an issue that makes them squirm, and this is one of them. This is one of those issues that's going to make them squirm. And Brian, before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think one of the agendas is they're going to push us to the edge. And then they're going to hit us with something to make us go, oh man, thank you, you know. And basically, I don't know what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? They're pushing us to the point where we're about to break, and they're going to say, no problem. Hey, we've got a good solution. All you got to do is this, and it's going to be some compromise, and we have to be real wary of it. And I'd also like to point something out too. Has anybody noticed the amount of money government employees are making? I've got friends that have been hired, and these guys aren't making $18 an hour anymore. They're starting out at 30, and they're getting time and a half overtime, just milking the crap out of the clock.
Getting very good.
And it's getting
beneficial to work for the government.
It is. Well, I mean, they really do. I mean, I work in the government sector. I'm not a federal employee, but I'm a government contractor, and I got to tell you that there are many sectors in government that get paid a lot more than what they should. I mean, there's some that get work like dogs. I'll be honest with you. Some of them get work like freaking dogs, but for the most part, the majority of them, no. But I'll tell you this too, Brian. The TSA, they're not getting $30 an hour. They're not making $30 an hour.
No, they're not.
No, and they don't want people there that make $30 an hour because, again, smart people wouldn't do wouldn't work for $14, $15 an hour, having to shove your hands down people's pants and everything else. But I will say this. That I've seen this in the military too. Some of the most sensitive positions in the military are manned and staffed by the people that get the lowest ASVAB score. Why? Because they don't want free thinkers. They want robots.
I used to train dogs, and I would love to train some German Shepherds to get the job at the local airport. You know, it'd be a great job. I could do that, and also aptitude tests. Chris knows what I'm talking about. He was in the intelligence community. There's little tests that they can give people online.
Sure.
And I don't mean to ask questions like, I don't know if you've ever taken one, but you don't know what's going on. But a psychologist can look at the answers you gave, and they can tell if you're right or not.
That's right.
It's not always perfect, but that's just one idea, that's a lot better than a cavity search.
And it would be great, Brian, if the people that are coming up with this didn't have an agenda and were thinking with a level head like you're trying to, but they're not, and that's the problem.
If you're on your computer getting a ticket, you take a quick test. Then the next day you go to the airport, and they have a computer set up where you have to answer 5 questions. Mm-hmm. They're going to know immediately if you're the one that took the test the night before or someone took it for you. And
I'm sure.
Sure.
Sure. Again, you know what, Brian? Great idea. It could very well help things out.
They could have a screening process too. I know that AC Griffith's got. I think AC, you served 30 years or something like that. I know you were NSA and CIA. You're not going to come up there with a bomb in your underwear. So what, you should be able to walk straight to through the airport. I mean, you know, some guy's got a couple of speeding tickets and a DUI. Maybe they give him a little bit harder time, or some guy that served time in jail for a violent crime. They strip search him, you know?
Yep.
But there's a lot they could do, and they're not using common sense, and that's why I think some sort of RFID is in the mix. I hate to say it, but God, it keeps coming up.
I know.
I
know what you mean, Brian. I know what you mean. And, hey, thank you so much for the phone call. I'm going to go to Jim in Amarillo. Jim, you're live on the air.
All right. Well, you know, I've been listening to this. I've listened to you guys a long time. And I think Griff's as right as anybody. They've got an agenda. And think about it. They started back a few years ago. We had to walk through the little deal, and if it went off, you had to take off your belt, and then you had to take everything out of your pockets, and it just one thing next to another. And like somebody else said, next thing you're going to have to do, you're going to have to strip down when you get to the airport, and so they can double check you. But at the same time, I drive a 3/4-ton crew cab pickup with a tonneau cover on it, and when you go into our airport here at Amarillo, little old gal, I have to go back and open it up for her because she don't have enough strength, and I've got all kinds of boxes and stuff sitting back there, and she looks in there, okay, well, I could be carrying all kinds of weapons in there, and she just wants to peek in there, but she don't go through. Ordinarily, if it really is serious, they'd go checking all those boxes and everything in there. But no, they don't want to do that. They've looked, and that's all there is to it. But this is totally, I don't know, somebody said earlier that if they went to the airport, they wouldn't go through this. They'd probably have me in jail because I wouldn't do it. And it wouldn't have done for me to be in the airport the other day. I saw a video where they was handling this little old child, 2 or 3 years old, and she was screaming all the time, "Don't touch me, don't touch me." If I'd have been standing close by, I'd have grabbed that woman that's doing that and shoved her off against the wall somewhere because I wouldn't have been able to stand it. I'd have went to jail, but somebody ought to go. You know, we got to stand up for it. People.
Exactly right, Jim. We do. We have to stand up. And you know, children, they're defenseless. We have to stand up for them.
Let that woman hand all over. That's stupid. And at the same time, I understand that they don't check these Muslims with these burqas and stuff on. Bull crap.
Yeah, I know. Exactly right. But that just goes to show you, their intentions here. So
it's all an agenda. And you mentioned the golf. I watched a 3-part video the other night. This little gal, something Arneson. She's down there. She's in Louisiana. She's been on several of these, and she actually showed some of the sores on her body, and she's telling how many thousands of people down there are sick and in the hospital and dying of what they call the blue flu, and it isn't nothing but that Corexit. And they're just media just kind of forgot all about that oil spill, and then, of course, we're doing something here. This whole deal, there wasn't any 19 Muslims flew any planes into nothing.
That's right.
I mean, and it was all an excuse to the planes there wasn't any planes hit the tower. There wasn't any planes hit the Pentagon. There wasn't any plane crashed out in Pennsylvania. And yet they've used that excuse so they could start a war in Afghanistan and another one in Iraq. And
taking away how much more of our civil liberties, you know? And Jim, you've made some outstanding points. I got to go to break, Jim, so I'm going to let you go.
Jim,
but thank you so much.
It's good to hear your voice. This is Griff.
To you, buddy. I enjoy listening to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. When we come back, we're going to get on to some other interesting topics of the day. We'll continue to take any calls about the TSA for sure, but we're going to move along. We're going to be talking about the S510. I've actually perused that bill, and I'll be talking a little bit about that, as well as the drive to crash J.P. Morgan Chase. And we'll talk about the Korean conflicts as well. For this break, I'm going to be playing an announcement from Kevin Annett, who is a dear friend of the show, and he'll be my guest on Thursday evening. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Hello, this is Kevin Annett on November 23rd, and I wanted to read to you an international media release that went out today. It's entitled Ending the Dirty Tricks Campaign by Church and State, An announcement by Reverend Kevin Annett and the League